Hey there everyone, Matt here for Matt's Diner, and today we're velveting chicken. So what is velveting chicken? Essentially, you're just preparing the chicken and marinating it for a little bit so that you can pre-cook it and then add it to your wok for chicken and broccoli or chicken fried rice or really any other takeout style Chinese food that you can think of. It also is done for steaks. Looking around the internet, you're going to find two basic ways to velvet chicken and two basic styles to velvet chicken. The two ways that you'll find are either with egg whites or with baking soda, and the two styles are either poaching or using some oil to prepare it for the meal. I'm going to be doing my chicken with baking soda and I'm going to use some oil. I've done the poaching and I've done the egg whites, and just for my personal preference, I like it with the baking soda and I like it in the oil. You can check out my other video for ingredients, so I'm not going to go through all of that, but what I am going to do is show you how to cut this chicken and measure it so that you're using the right amount of ingredients for the quantity of protein that you are using. Let's get into it. In order to use the right ratio of ingredients, you got to know how much chicken you're working with. So I'm going to be cutting one chicken breast. It's an organic chicken breast, so it's smaller than like those giant, ridiculous chicken breasts that you can buy. And I'm going to measure it and weigh it. That way you can scale as needed based on what I'm doing here. For chicken, you got to cut across the grain for Chinese food so it doesn't fall apart. And the trick with chicken is if you freeze it partially, it's a lot easier to cut. You cut it really thin. So this was fully frozen. I left it out to try to defrost a little bit. We'll see just how defrosted it is. I hope I don't cut my fingers off with my giant cleaver. The grains are going this way, like that. You can see it on the chicken. So I'm gonna wanna cut against the grain, like that. I can't do it like this. The chicken's too big. So I'm gonna cut them into chunks like this. That cut's really nice and easy. Now I got 3 chunks to work with. Start with this chunk here. The grains are going like this. So I'm gonna cut it like this. And I'm just gonna make really thin slices. Keeping my knuckles to the blade so that I don't cut my fingers off. Now that I've got these pieces, I'm gonna stack them. They're pretty frozen. I'm gonna stack them because I am cutting this chicken into like matchsticks so that they cook really fast in the oil, kind of like flash frying them. And that's the way that I like it for chicken fried rice and for chicken and broccoli. Just so you can see how thin these are. Look at that little tiny matchstick of chicken. If you're poaching your chicken and you do it this way, it's gonna cook like within seconds, really. So you gotta watch it. You don't wanna overcook it. When preparing your chicken using a velveting technique, you wanna cook it about 80%. You don't wanna cook it all the way through because you're gonna be sauteing it afterwards. I've cooked it all the way through before and threw it in there just to heat it up. I think it tastes fine, but best practice is 80% and then you cook it. One thing you will not find on this channel is a how to use a knife and how to dice super fast video. Slow and steady for me, because I like my fingers. Got all my chicken cut into matchsticks. I'm gonna use my digital scale. I like this one because it opens up in case you have a big bowl. Everything that I use, there are affiliated links down below. If you wanna click on something and buy it, I get a little kickback and I can make more chicken. So check those out. We're zeroed out and we will be velveting 160 grams of chicken. Let's do it. 160 grams of chicken, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of MSG, premium light soy sauce. This doesn't mean low sodium. It's a different thing entirely. This is premium light soy sauce. 1.5 teaspoons. 1, 2, 3. Half a teaspoon of a neutral oil like vegetable oil. 1 heaping teaspoon of potato starch. Potato starch does have a different kind of flavor profile than cornstarch. So if you're curious about which is the best option for you, you know what? Make 2 batches and then test them with a blindfold on and see how you like it. Final ingredient, baking soda. Now this stuff, if you use too much of it, it's going to be gross and your stuff's going to get all rubbery. So for 160 grams of chicken, it says a little less than 1/8 of a teaspoon. So that's what I'm doing here, a little less than 1/8 of a teaspoon. You could even probably go a little less than this. You mix everything together, and this is going to go into the refrigerator for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. You don't want to go any longer than that because the baking soda is actually tenderizing the chicken, and you don't want it to tenderize too much because it might get mushy or gamey or kind of gross. So 20 minutes, let's time travel and get cooking. Chicken's almost ready to come out of the fridge. I've got my wok and my induction burner, and I'm turning it on to preheat it to 8. I'm going to be using a high smoke point oil, grapeseed oil, about 2 tablespoons worth. You never want to add oil into the wok before it's preheated. So you want to get the wok nice and hot. When it's steaming, you know it's ready for the oil. I like this stuff, comes with the wok. I use this guy to push the stuff around. I use this guy to take it out so that I can drain the oil. Here's my chicken after it's been sitting in the fridge. Doesn't really look any different, but you can see from in real life that it's kind of absorbed all the moisture, and that's how you know the potato starch and everything is working. So let's get this going. It's a quick process because we don't have a lot of chicken. We have a really hot wok. Let's add our oil. Let's add our chicken. When you're putting the chicken in, it's really tempting to move it around right away, but you don't want to do that. You want to let it sit for about 20 seconds before you start moving it and sauteing it. While that's sitting there, I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to spread the chicken out so that it's covered, everything's kind of touching the wok at the same time. And then I'm going to let it sit for about 15 seconds before I move it. That way you get less chicken sticking to the wok. If it's sticking, that means that your oil wasn't hot enough, you didn't let it sit long enough. I'm guilty of that. I do that a lot because I'm just impatient. Because I want to eat this chicken like right away to show you how it tastes, I'm going to cook it 100%. But just remember that if you're doing this at home, you can cook it to about 80% and then finish it off with the rest of your dish. Such a weird like percentage, 80%. What does 80% cooked chicken look like? I have no idea. It's chicken. I don't mess around with chicken. So I you know what, if I'm going to overcook it a little bit, that's what the marinades and sauces are for. I'm fine with that. I'm going to use this guy now so that the oil can kind of get out of it. Now that I got my chicken out, my wok is still hot. So here's a trick on cleaning. This is all you need. Water, and something to scrape it with. You don't want to scrape too hard because it's cast iron. But if you do that, oh, look at that steam. I'm probably going to set off the fire alarm. But then you can just kind of scrape off all the bits here, like that. Do it a couple times. So, there you go. Still looks kind of messy, but once everything cools down, I'm going to wipe it out with some oil and clean it up. But now I don't have anything sticking to it, and I don't have to worry about it. Time to taste it. That's it. That's how you prepare chicken for stir fry with the velveting technique of baking soda and oil. Again, you could do it with egg whites and you can poach it. It's got different flavor profiles. Play around with it. I'll put in the description below the quantity of chicken that I used and the quantity for all the ingredients so that you could scale it up as needed. Now for my favorite part, I get to eat it. Okay. All right. So that's delicious. Next video, we're going to be blanching vegetables to prepare for chicken and broccoli. And we're going to also have another video on making a white sauce for that chicken and broccoli. Brown sauces, I like more for like steak and beef than I do for chicken. So for us, we're going to finish this whole thing off. Chicken, blanched broccoli, bok choy, snow peas, a white sauce, and some rice. Stick with me. This is Matt. You're in Matt's Diner. See you next time.